Welcome to NuttieBuddie Sports. Previewing the LA Chargers.
Okay, let's start with the Chargers. Okay, so Tyler, I'm going to hit you with all these questions to start out with because you're the Charger fan. So tell me, for you, Tyler, what is the Los Angeles Chargers' biggest question for the season?
So the biggest question is, will the Chargers charger? We all know what that means. They have a good team, they have all the pieces, and they find a way to lose. And they've done it so many seasons, So will they do it again this year? I don't know. I feel like with how they've addressed the defense, offense has stayed the same. I don't think they will, but I've said that my entire life, every season, and usually I'm wrong. So big question, will they charger once again?
That's hilarious. Can they avoid charging? That's what I put on my thing. Like literally, that's my biggest question. This team, I love their roster, but the problem is for some reason they love to shoot. I don't know if they have any toes left, but they keep shooting themselves in the foot, over the years. So yeah, that's the biggest question for your team, I think.
Absolutely.
What about you, Jason? You got a big question for the Chargers?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about, fantasy football wise, like who's going to be Austin Eckler's backup? Maybe it's Isaiah Spiller. He's really impressing. But no, for regular football season in general, my biggest question with them was, they were really bad at stopping the run last year. When I looked at it, they were 28th, and I know they tried to make some moves to sign some folks to fill those gaps. And looks like they have improved in that area. Their secondary is one of the best in the NFL. It's going to be really, really tough in that division. But that's the biggest question that I saw.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a good one. When I was doing research for that, I was like, so I looked at all their signs. I'm like, well, they did hit it hard in free agency, but we'll see if those moves really help them.
I agree with that. The run defense I think if they're going to charger, they're going to do it with their run defense. At least that's what they did last year. So we'll see if they can fix it.
Yeah, who I read a sentence where it said something about Rex Burkhead running all over their defense. I was like, oh, that must not. I don't remember that, but hopefully you forgot about that, Tyler.
I tried to forget.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's talk about our next topic here. Favorite off-season move? Tyler, what's your favorite off-season move for the Chargers?
Well, really, they made so many big moves in free agency this year. J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, those were really good. But I think the one that stood out to me a little bit more, less talked about, was the Sebastian Joseph Day at their tackle position, defensive tackle. He's really going to stop the run, help them with that, really address that specific need that they have. I think that's going to make a big difference maker, or be the big difference maker for their team. J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack are awesome, and I love them. But maybe just for the sake of having a little bit of a different favorite move, Sebastian Joseph Day.
Yeah, I like that one. What about you, Jason? What is your favorite move that the Chargers made?
Yeah, them getting Khalil Mack, he was gone out of the AFC West, never have to, face him again. And now he's back, back to have to deal with again. So, I was really sad to see that take place. I was so happy to see him go the first time. But a huge move for the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers did a good job, I think, just like fixing their defense. I have all their defensive move as like my favorite, like J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack. I have Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, Troy Reeder. I just think like they made a point. Troy Reeder it sounds like a blitzing linebacker, which means that he's going to fill gaps and they're going to try to use him to get to the quarterback, which is smart when you have to play Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes twice a year. Derek Carr to a lesser extent, but those two guys I think are clearly better than Derek Carr. So yeah, I loved what they did on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah.
That was my favorite. The defense, seeing a good defense. Defenses win championships, so that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So let's talk about our next topic for the Chargers. Least favorite offseason move. So what was your least favorite offseason move, Tyler, for the Chargers?
Well, this one was a tough one for me because there were so many moves I just loved. So I'll talk about Khalil Mack. That was a big cap hit. So they paid a lot. They didn't have to spend a whole lot in draft picks, but I feel like the cap hit. I'm hoping that doesn't. I don't remember how long the contract is, but I'm hoping that doesn't affect them moving forward, especially with his injuries he's been dealing with in the past. So Khalil Mack, awesome guy to have, but if he gets injured, that's a lot of money to spend on somebody who gets injured a lot.
No, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, as we talked about, they made a lot of moves to beef up their defensive line and get some, as well as the trade that they made. But when I was reviewing what they did and their roster moves, didn't look like they did much to address the offensive line depth. So they're going to be really relying on those guys to stay healthy, and we know that's there's always injuries. It's very rare that there's not injuries to the offensive line. So that was what came up for me.
Okay, yeah, I think that I read somewhere that the right tackle seems to be like the up in the air position, that they don't know who's going to play it. Like they're struggling a little bit with that. So that's a good one. I put not re-signing Kaiser White. So I read a little bit on him. So that was the linebacker they kind of let go for to sign Troy Reader. But it sounds like, and maybe Tyler, a little bit more about him than I do, but he was like a lone bright spot in the defense last year that like could stop the run. He had like 90 solo tackles or something like that. And he signed for a 1 year, $1.3 million deal with the Eagles. So he was very cheap, but they went with Troy Reader instead, I guess, which I don't know why you couldn't have signed both of them, like on that small of a deal. So I was just like, it's a little nitpicky, I guess. This is a nitpicky move, but I was like, this is a move that like he's young. Why wouldn't you take a chance on him if, he played good for you? So I was surprised they didn't try to re-sign Kaiser White.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's another one of my least favorite moves. But again, all of those moves come down to kind of nitpicking.
Yeah.
Little details, there's not like a big glaring.
No, if we're talking about like, who are we talking about? Me and Avery, we were talking about the Jets off season, and we're like, he picked like 2 kickers. They signed 2 kickers to camp. It's like, well, like if that's what you're nitpicking at, then you had a pretty good off season. And it's just the same with like the Chargers. It's like if you're talking about maybe their offensive line, they could have got a little bit more depth, or the linebacker that they should have signed for $1 million and not let go. It means that they had a good offseason. We're just picking something within the category,
Yeah, right.
Okay, Tyler, what will make the Chargers season a success or a failure?
They just they got to put it all together. I have them winning the division, making it to the AFC Championship game against the Bills, and I will be rooting so hard for them to pull through on that, and only time will tell. But that's what I have will make it a success. They need to make a playoff run. Justin Herbert, he's going to be due for a big contract the next couple of years, so their window is going to be closing on the talent that they can afford to have on that team. So they need to strike now.
Yeah, no, that's a good barometer. What about you, Jason, for a successful season for the Chargers?
Yeah, something I already mentioned earlier about them, not being able to stop the run. That was the biggest thing. Those guys that they signed, seeing if they can actually step up, fill those gaps, and create that solid defense. I mean, if they do that, they're already hard to pass on. They're going to be really tough to beat if they fix that front.
Yeah, no, so yeah, hopefully that the moves they did, not for your sake, Jason, but for Chargers fans' sake, that moves they did will fix that problem. I have playoffs. I don't know, like I think anyone in this division surprisingly probably could win it, so I'm not like holding them I'm more of like who you play against versus how far you get. That's like the Bills last year losing to the Chiefs. A lot of people are like, oh, they should have got to the NFC. It's like you lost to this, like the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter how far you get. It matters who you lose to, in my opinion. So I think for the Chargers, playoffs. They got to get to the playoffs. They made the moves to get there. That's what will be a successful season. Get those young players you have, including Herbert, get him some playoff experience. And if you end up going up against the Bills, that's a good team to kind of like, it's like they both will try to shoot themselves in the foot, like, so hopefully the Chargers can outlast the Bills in that regard, like not shooting themselves in the foot, because that's the other franchise that likes to do that too. So
Yeah, well, hopefully they can. Maybe all their experience in shooting themselves in the foot will pay off. They'll know how not to do it finally.
you would think so. Okay, I did forget to ask for the Broncos. Did anybody have any additional questions for the Broncos? I forgot to ask that. I totally pushed that to the side. You had one, Tyler? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see how their offensive line's going to do this year. I know Russell Wilson wasn't a big fan of the Seahawks offensive line last season, the past few, and so I think that'll be a big determining factor in how well Russell Wilson's going to do there in Denver.
Okay, yeah, nice. Jason, do you have go ahead? Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at their linebacking core. They lost Alexander Johnson, who was huge for them, Kenny Young, but they will be getting back Josie Jewell, who was out for pretty much the whole season, and they also added Christian Harris from Alabama, as well as signed Alex Singleton. But they also lost Shelby Harris in that trade. We already talked about all the pieces they gave away to Seattle. Well, not gave away, but traded away to Seattle for Russell Wilson. So yeah, that linebacker core, seeing how it can come together in the middle of the field on that defense was the biggest question.
Okay, yeah, okay. I had do we trust Nathaniel Hackett to be a head coach? This is the first time it always that he's a head coach. It always scares me when the offensive coordinator of a great quarterback goes to a team and they're like, oh, that guy's going to be a good head coach. It's like, are you good, or is the quarterback that you coached good? Like when Adam Gase, remember, he was supposed to be like the hot young coordinator because he worked with Peyton Manning, I think in Denver, right? That was, yeah. And then like, and then he just like, he was, he's not even in the league anymore. So that would be my biggest question. Like, what are we getting from this coaching staff? Is it going to be good, or is it sort of like, is he just a product of Aaron Rodgers? So
I wonder that same thing.
Yeah, it's a kind of a big question. Okay. Any additional questions for the Chargers? Let's ask that. Any additional questions for the Chargers? Anyone has? Go ahead, Tyler.
A couple, the right tackle. You mentioned that earlier, Ryan. Who's it going to be? Is he going to hold up? Mac going to stay healthy? The run defense. Who's going to be their running back behind Austin Eckler? I'm really curious to find that out. Joshua Kelly or Isaiah Spiller. I've been hearing a lot of good things about him, so I'm really hopeful. I think I might target him in my fantasy league, but hopefully no one in my fantasy league hears that.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into him. But Eckler, if he can be good too. So anyway, but yeah. But Spiller can be you're saying maybe a good late round flyer, is what you're
That's kind of what I'm thinking is,
yeah.
If Eckler gets injured, then he could be pretty good.
Yeah, and Eckler kind of does have an injury bug here and there throughout the season. So
Absolutely.
Okay, nice. Okay, let's talk about I don't have any additional questions for the Chargers. You, Jason?
No additional questions.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's talk then about predictions of over under 10 wins for the Chargers, as what I found. So Tyler, let's start with you. Over under 10 wins.
Definitely over. Perfect season. Not really, actually. I'm thinking more like 13 wins. I went through the teams that they play, accounting for I think early in the season. I think they're going to lose to a bad team. But I'm hoping that kind of amps them up for the rest of the season so that they can really play well. So I'm thinking 13-4 be the end of the season.
Okay, nice. Jason,
Yeah,
over under 10.
Yeah, I had them over as well. I went through their schedule and I had them at 11 wins myself. So yeah, it's still pretty good, pretty strong.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jason. I had him at 11 as well. 7. Over 11-7, somewhere that. I'm almost more confident about their over than I am about the Broncos under that I picked. That makes sense. Like I'm more confident, which is funny because I don't know why I would be confident in the Chargers considering their chargering. So, yeah. Do you think they have the highest ceiling? And that's a good additional question, maybe. Like, do you think the Chargers have like they have the highest ceiling in this division? Yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
Oh, I do. I really do. And I know I know I have such a bias for them, but I'm trying to hold back some of my excitement. But I really do. I really think that they look so good on paper that ceiling really is up there.
What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, when you look at all the rosters, they do look like they're the most complete team on paper, in my opinion as well. I do have them picked to win the division this year as well also. So yeah, they're looking pretty strong.
Okay, well, you must have a really close division if the Broncos have 10 or 11 wins and they have 11 wins. I'm interested to see what you say about the next two teams. Okay, you want to get into the next team?
Let's do it.
Okay, thanks so much for watching this clip of NuttieBuddie Sports. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you'd like to listen to the rest of the podcast, click on one of the links down below. And if you want to give us your thoughts on any team in any division, let us know in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will talk to you guys soon.